Today we're going to be working with our Festo didactic MecLab handling trainer. In the previous video, we did wire it to our PLC and we have tested our inputs and outputs. And in this one, we're going to work through programming our automatic process. We have learned a lot with the two previous MecLab trainers. We had our conveyor trainer and we learned about our IO wiring and we learned about some beginning basics of controls. And then we had our stack handler, which we used to start learning about how to importantly plan and then program automatic sequences. Now we could simply copy and paste this code and almost make this work, but we want to learn everything we can about it. And one thing that is left off of this trainer, in fact, you can see the provisions where Festo wants you to add them to it in their exercises, is it doesn't have any travel switches. So if this was a real mechanical machine, as this moves back and forth, if we didn't grease it, it would slow down. So right now we have 1 second extend, then 1 second retract. But yeah, that may not be enough. So in the end, we may not get our lid into the proper position. So in this one, we want to take into account the sensors that are on this as we plan this out. Let's go through the steps that we need this to do and look at the inputs and outputs that are required for our sequence and write them down. The first step will be for the vacuum cylinder to extend down. And when it's there, we will have the extended switch that we can use to verify that. So similarly to the stack magazine steps, we're going to make another one. In fact, I'm going to put this on the same page. We're just going to put step, input, and output. And we'll deal with the skipping numbers later. For now, we're just going to do step one. So step one, we are going to be looking for our vacuum extended. And to get there, we're going to turn on output vacuum extend. Next, we'll need to turn on our vacuum solenoid. Now, we do not have any feedback on this to tell us that we have suction, but we probably at least should have some time on it. So step two, we will use time for this one, and the output will be our vacuum solenoid. Next, we will leave our vacuum on and we're going to pick our part up. So we'll be back to vacuum retracted. And here's where we got to start thinking a little broader as what else needs to be happening here. Because while all this was happening, where did this cylinder need to be? It needed to be retracted the whole time. So step three is going to be vacuum retracted. And to get there, vacuum retract. Once we're there, we want to traverse to our extended position. Step four, we'll be looking for the traverse extended. And to get there, we're going to traverse extend. Next, we will extend our vacuum cylinder. Step five will be vacuum extend, vacuum extend. And then next, we need to release the vacuum to finish dropping our part. Step six, we will operate off of time and turn off vacuum solenoid. Now we have to be really careful with our next steps because here are the times that we can either cause interference issues or we can cause wear issue because I could simply retract both cylinders at the same time and save myself a little bit of speed. But I am going to be rubbing across this cup. And really, these vacuum cups are designed to go straight up and straight down. So before I retract my traverse, I need to retract my vacuum. So step seven will be vacuum retracted. And we will be looking to turn on the vacuum retract. Then step eight will be traverse retract and traverse retract. And already I see a mistake in my steps. And this is why it's good to take just a little bit of time and write this out beforehand. Because what I forgot is, how do we start this process? Because right now This thing's just going to take off and go. Well, no, I'm going to use the same green button we did earlier. I want to press the green button, and then we want to go through that process. And at this point, it is as simple as highlighting all this. Control X, go down one step, Control V, and now my input is green button, and we do not have an output. It's just going to be sitting there. And now we have 9 steps. So let's check these off. We're going to press our green button. That's going to start it. Then our vacuum is going to extend. Now, already I see a few issues with this is probably before we start this process, we also want to make sure that both of these are retracted. And for some reason, this was way over here. We wouldn't want to start it. Even if we get our outputs right, that's going to cause it to do this number and all that. So along with the green button, we want both of these retract switches. And some people will build this out into a big spreadsheet, but for me, I'm just gonna put green button and retract switches. And then we do need to start thinking about some of these auxiliary things. Now, this one here, gravity is probably going to keep it in its place, but if we were traversing over them and we didn't think about this, if the cylinder was leaking a little bit, it could start to bleed down. So we probably do want to have these outputs on when they're supposed to be in a certain position. So as we're going down here, we also do want the cylinder retracted. So on our output, vacuum cylinder extend, traverse, oh, no, here, let me finish writing this, but this brings up another good point, traverse, retract. Up here on this first step, should our traverse be retracting and our vacuum retracting? I think it probably should. So on this first step, I am going to have vacuum retract, traverse retract. So then our vacuum's going to extend. We're going to be waiting on that switch. Now, arguably, we could be waiting on this traverse retract also. Now, this is one of those that's going to be, really dependent on your application. I'm going to stick, because I do want this still to be a simple sequence for you to be able to understand. I'm going to stick with simply having the vacuum extended here. Then we're going to have a time and have the vacuum solenoid turned on. And during this time, though, we also still should be turning on our vacuum extend and traverse retract. And then we're going to retract our vacuum. And while we're doing that, actually, we're still going to be retracting our traverse. And then we're going to extend our traverse. And while we're doing that, we need to be retracting our vacuum. Then our vacuum's going to extend. But while we're doing that, we still need to be extending our traverse. And then, oh, look at that. I forgot about the vacuum solenoid. The vacuum solenoid should have been on during all this. So we did have the vacuum solenoid on there. We also need the vacuum solenoid on here. We need the vacuum solenoid on here. And finally, we need the vacuum solenoid on here. Then we're going to turn that off. Our vacuum's going to retract. And while we're doing that, we do want our traverse extended. And finally, our traverse is retracting. And while that's happening, we do want our vacuum retracted. And same as over here, this is the step I see a lot of you leave out, is we want this thing ready to go to the next time. And go ahead and account for that in here. So step 10 is going to be end of process. And for now, yeah, get ready for next process. All right, I want to go ahead and take this a step further just because I do see it done this way, and it may help you track it through here. Right now, output 4 is traverse extend, 5 is traverse retract, 6 is vacuum extend, 7 is vacuum retract, and 8 is vacuum. Let's go ahead and put these in over here. In fact, here, just temporarily, I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to paste it in here, and I'm going to take it for traverse extend. I'm going to put it there, traverse retract. I'm going to put it there, vacuum extend. I'm going to put it there, vacuum retract. I'm going to put it there, and vacuum. I'm going to put it there. And so a lot of times you'll see someone make kind of a table down here and think about which one should be. At the beginning, our traverse extended should be a 0. So I'm going to leave it blank, and our traverse extend is still a 0. And traverse extend still is 0. In fact, it is all the way to here. So step 6, it needs to be extended. While we're turning our solenoid off, it still needs to be extended. And while our vacuum is retracting, it still needs to be extended. And then on our traverse retract, honestly, for now, you can almost say it's when it's not extending. So I am going to put it in like that. And same with the vacuum extend. And we're retracted here, we're extended here, then we're retracting, uh, we're retracting, and we're extending here. So when we're not extending, we'll be retracting. So we'll put ones in the opposite ones. And then finally, we have our vacuum. So our vacuum turns on here, and really it's off till here. And the other times it's off. Now, I see this sometimes built tremendously out, but we're going to just use this right here to build ours out. And same in the previous video, we are going to use the sequence move times 10 method that I used. And you can use whichever one of these from that sequencing video that you prefer. So let's disconnect from our PLC and start writing some program. And first, let's start by putting our descriptions in. So I'm going to double click on my global variables. And let's go ahead and split this screen. And input 0 is traverse retract. Input 1 is traverse extended. Input 2 is vacuum retracted. Input 3 is vacuum extended. Input 4 is our vacuum. Input 4 is our green button. Input 5 is our yellow button. Input 6 is our red button. Input 7 is our blue button. Input 8 is switch 1. Input 9 is switch 4 left. Input 10 is switch 4 right. Then for our outputs, output 0 is our green light. Output 1 is our yellow light. Output 2 is our red light. Output 3 is our blue light. Output 4 is our traverse extend. Output 5 is traverse retract. Output 6 is vacuum extend. Output 7 is vacuum retract. Output 8 is vacuum. And now we're ready to do some programming. Okay, I do want to talk a little more about the theme here while we're doing it, because we switched themes midway through our stacking exercise. Let's pay attention to this left pane right here as I switch from the default theme to the logics theme. And mainly look where the global variables are to start with. See, now they're called controller variables, and up here, this is to make it more like Studio 5000. And then in here, we have task, main task, and right now we have no program. If we switch back to the default theme, then we're going to have programs here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one in the logics theme just so we can get used to both of them. As in this case, we're going to right click main task, add ladder diagram. And there's how we get the prog one that we've been using in the other videos. We'll open it up. And then we're going to start roughing out our program very similar to what we did in the last one with our equals. Only in this case, we have our sequential numbers like we have laid out in our spreadsheet right now. I still like to use the skip 10 version of this, which is right here, mainly because if we realize we needed something above here, we can make a step 5 and really easily insert without having to do a lot of work to the rest of our program. In fact, let's go ahead back over here and yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. So this will become 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Now, I do feel the need to repeat as I did in the last exercise because I know a lot of you are aspiring to be the most top-end programmers out there. This method is not the one to impress your friends with your programming skills. This is the easiest one to get you started, but also for someone to follow behind you and understand your program, troubleshoot your program. So they're not calling you saying, hey, your machine's not working again. And if we're not getting calls saying our machine's not working, we are getting calls from the customer wanting us to build new machines. Let's bring down an instruction block and we'll double click on it. And we're going to type EQU for the equals. And first we need a sequence, same as the previous one. I'm going to double click on the bottom because we need to create that. So I'm going to create sequence. And this needs to be a dent or a double integer. And our first value will be 10. And the inputs that we're going to be looking for before we go to step 20 are a green button and both of our retract switches. So I'm going to bring down a go look for a 1. And we are going to grab our green button. Then we'll bring down another go look for a 1. and we are going to go for our traverse retracted. Now, let's talk a little bit about this because, there are very few things to get really picky on when you come to my training class, but this time the tense does matter. And mentally, it can matter when you're troubleshooting because traverse retract, that is a command telling it to do something. And that's why this is digital output number 5. If we say something is retracted, past tense, we are saying that is where it is at. So just a little bit to think about while you're putting your descriptions down. Now, I know we could study into this and figure out that that is an output, but this surprisingly stumps a lot of technicians, even with many years of experience. If we had this down as traverse retracted and it was not working, they would swear that it was retracted when in fact it could be that the output's not even on. So in this case, we want the traverse retracted input, and then we'll bring down another one, and we are going to get our vacuum retracted input. Now, once all 3 of those are made, we are going to use a move instruction, and we are going to move a value of 20 into our sequence. Now, next, we need to think about what our outputs need to be doing during this step 20. And in this case, we want our traverse retract and our vacuum retract outputs on. Now, in the sequencing videos, I did create a separate program, but I'm going to put them all right here just so it makes the video a little easier for you to follow. But I'd highly recommend you have a separate program for your inputs, for your sequence. Mainly use it as a way to organize your code. I'm going to bring down a new rung. And to start with, I'm just going to put all the outputs we're going to need in here. So remember, we're going to have to come back and address all of these. But our first one is going to be the traverse extend. And then we're just going to right click and we're going to copy it. And we have 5 outputs. So I'm going to paste, 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 and paste. And so this is output 4. This is going to be output 5. This is going to be output 6. This is going to be output 7. And this is going to be output 8. And for step 10, we need our traverse retract and our vacuum retract. On our traverse retract, I'm going to bring down an instruction block. And we're going to put an EQU in there. And if our sequence equals 10, then we will do the traverse retract. And since it's going to be the same thing, we're going to right click it and copy. And down here on the vacuum retract, we're going to right click and we're going to paste it. That gets us through step 10. For step 20, we're going to be looking for this vacuum to extend. And mainly, we are going to switch from vacuum retract to vacuum extend. But let's focus on this part first. Let's bring down a new rung. And it is this equal right here. So I'm just going to copy it. And we're going to paste it right here. And in this case, it's that we're on step 20. And then we're going to bring a go look for a 1 down. And we are going to be looking for our vacuum to be extended. Now, arguably, we should also be looking for this vacuum retracted. But I'll say that unless I felt that there was a serious reason for it to be there or a reason that it might have moved, I probably wouldn't put that here. I probably would just put the extended down. Now, you are the programmer, so I'm going to leave that up to you. You can put that in or you can leave it out like I do. In fact, I will do a little bit of both just so we can talk about the 2 different ways. So in this case, I am only going to do the vacuum extended, and then we're going to copy our move, and we will right click, and we're going to paste it. Oops, we're going to put it on that side of it. And then in this case, we're going to move a 30 to it. All right, so we do need to work on our vacuum extend and retract because in this step, we do need our vacuum to extend, and we do not need it to retract. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to copy our equals, and I'm going to paste it on our extend one. And in this case, in step 20, we want this to extend. We still want the traverse to be retracting in step 20 also. So now we will bring a branch down and we can just right click and copy and right click, paste. That way this will be true in step 10 and step 20. And that correlates to what we have here. So the traverse is supposed to be retracting in 10 and 20. And you see it continues on through here, but that gives you enough that you could build out your outputs as you go. Now for the rest of this, let's just focus on the input first, and then we'll use our spreadsheet to go ahead and figure out the rest of this. And we're gonna wait a little bit of a time to build up some vacuum. So let's go back on up here and let's just focus on working through our steps now. Let's right click our equal, copy, and we'll right click and we will paste. And in this case, this will be step number 30. And we are going to right click our move and we're going to copy it and we'll right click and we will paste. And oops, it always puts it on the wrong side. But in this case, we will put a 30 in. Now we're doing this one based on time. So we're going to bring down a branch around this, bring down an instruction block, and we're going to make a TON. And I'm going to name this one my vacuum on delay. And then we're going to want a preset on this. So we're going to call this our vacuum on delay time. And the data type will be time. And like we learned in the previous video, let's go ahead and put a project value in this to start with. So I'm going to put T, a number sign, and let's just go for 1 second, which is 1S. And before we do this move, we want to look for this Q bit here. So go look for a 1 down. And this will be our vacuum on delay dot Q. Next, we're going to be looking for the vacuum retracted. And since we were talking about up here whether we should have the extended or not, I'm going to put that the traverse has to be retracted and the vacuum has to be retracted, just so you can see that both ways will work, but they may have consequences as the machine ages. And let's start leveraging a little bit of copy and paste now. Let's right click rung 2 and let's copy it. And then we're going to come down here to rung 4 and we are going to paste it. And this is going to be step 40 and this will be moving on to step 50. So in step 40, we want our traverse retracted and go look for a 1 down for our vacuum retracted. Let's talk a little bit about truncated values. We did talk about this in the last video, but see how these are a little bit truncated. We got a mouse over them. That's going to be really difficult to troubleshoot. Right click the white space to the right of your ladder and go to properties. Let's make an element width 5. There we go. And that one's still a little bit. I made that name probably too long, but let's go ahead just so we can see the pros and consequences. We're going to put that at 6. All right. And so, yeah, see that widens out everything, but at least we can read our words now. But if we go up, yeah, see how this one's running off the page? So you got to be really careful. That's one thing that I wish Connected Components did a little bit better. I wish they would kind of go down and, kind of wrap. I mean, that's it. Yeah, I wish they wrapped like Studio 5000 did. But anyway, now that we've talked through that, let's talk a little bit about programming. Is just a personal preference or a programming preference or just something to think about. When people go to troubleshoot, they usually will focus on the first thing on the left first. And so since the real movement item here is vacuum retracted, not traverse retracted, I would actually put the traverse retracted behind the vacuum retracted. That way, as I'm coming down and I'm troubleshooting, I don't get fixated on this traverse. Don't worry about that they're in the wrong number order here. Look more about the functionality. Now, again, that is a personal programming preference, but it may keep you from getting called out later. That takes us through step 40. The next is step 50. And in that, we are going to extend our traverse. So I'm going to right click rung 4. We're going to copy it and we're going to right click and we are going to paste it. And this will be step 50. And in this case, we do want our vacuum retracted still, but we want our traverse extended. And again, this is kind of the moving item. This may be a preference that you like. It may be one that you don't like. It's just something I do just because I've learned people look at that first element. So since this is the actual action item of this step, I'm going to put it first. Now, let's not forget the move needs to go to step 60. And then if we look at step 60, that's going to be vacuum extended. Now, just to show that we don't need this extra one, you can do it either way. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about the consequences, or maybe we'll unexpectedly learn about them. This time I'm going to copy that rung. I am going to paste it down. And I am only going to look at the vacuum extended. And I'm going to leave this completely out this time. And this will be happening in step 60. And when it's done, we will go to step 70. All right, step 70, we are going to be waiting on time. And notice how we're starting to be able to copy and paste this. And yeah, you'll start to learn that you can repurpose a lot of code. So we're going to right click our vacuum on delay and copy it. And we're going to go down here. We're going to right click and we're going to paste it. And instead of a vacuum on delay, this is going to be a vacuum off delay. And for our time, it will be vacuum off delay time. And the data type will be time. And same as this one, let's go ahead and put a project value in that we don't have the struggle we had a few videos. So we're going to put T $sign 1S. And then vacuum off delay. So we want vacuum off delay dot Q. Also, if you are following along in Studio 5000, this is the DM. All right, we are doing this in step 70, and we are going to move on to step 80 when that's done. Step 80 is going to be vacuum retracted. So we'll just right click this one and we will copy it, right click, paste. So step 80, vacuum retracted. And we are going to go to step 90. We are on the downhill run now. Step 90 is going to be traverse retract. So let's right click that rung and copy it. And we'll right click and paste. And this will be step 90. And we want our traverse retracted. And after that, we are going to go to step 100. Arguably this one, okay, so if there is ever a time that before we move on, we want to make sure everything's back and ready to go, it would be step 90. So, okay, we've kind of been bouncing back and forth. I said this really isn't probably that important each step of the way, but okay, now we are making sure that we are ready for the next cycle. So in this case, we do want the traverse retracted. And we probably do want to make sure the vacuum retracted. That way we make sure that cylinder isn't drifting down. Next, let's bring down one more rung and let's go ahead and review what we're going to do here. When we are finished, we need to get this ready for the next cycle. And so that will be moving a value of 10 back to our sequence. Now that's if we're equal to our final step. Also, if we are less than 100 or we are greater than 100, we want to do that. And, in the last video, I told you we were going to go through this first scan and I didn't do it. So we need to make sure we cover that this time. So let's right click our equals, copy. We'll right click and we'll paste. And this will be if it equals 100. And then let's go ahead and bring down a branch and we'll right click that branch and paste again. And we'll bring down another branch and we'll right click and we'll paste again. And this one will be if we are less than 10. And this one will be if we are greater than 100. And in any of these cases, we want to move a value of 10 to our sequence. All right, that takes care of us going through our steps. Now we still need to fill out this. And we did a little bit of it so you could understand how to do it as you go along. But this time we're going to use our truth table. So we want to look and see when the traverse is supposed to be extended. Traverse extended, that's going to be in steps 60, 70, and 80. So we're going to right click one of our equals and copy. And we'll right click there and paste. And we need to bring down a branch and we'll bring down a second branch. And in both of those, we will paste. And this will be 60, 70, and 80. All right, then we have traverse retract. We need to do a little bit of work on it because our traverse retract is supposed to be in 10 through 50 and also 90 and 100. So we need to add a bunch of branches to this one. So I'm just going to start bringing them down because that would be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We have 90 and 100. I believe that's the right amount. So we'll right click, copy, right click, paste, 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 and paste. I think I have one too many. Let's walk through these one at a time and make sure here. So I should have 10 through 50, 90, and 100. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 90, 100. I did put one too many in. I'll right click that one and delete. All right, next we have our vacuum extended, and that is going to be during step 20 and step 60. We already have 20, so add a branch, and we will right click and copy our equal, and right click and paste, and this will be a 60. Then we have vacuum retract, and vacuum retract is used quite a bit. It is used in 10, 30, 40, 50, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Or when these two are not on. Now, we could arguably do something there, but again, we're looking for reliable, easy to troubleshoot programs, not necessarily the smoothest, leanest programs. So we're just going to bring down a bunch of branches. There is a shortcut key to do this, but during my videos, I try not to use shortcut keys, but if we right click, insert branch, right there, Control 8 will also insert branches automatically, but I like for you to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. All right, now we'll right click, copy, and we're going to paste, 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 and paste. All right, so pretty much every time it's up for 20 and 60. So 10, 30, 40, 50, 50, 70, 80, 90, and this time I did not bring enough branches down, 100. And finally, we have our vacuum, and it will be on during 30, 40, 50, and 60. Let's right click and we'll paste that equals, and we'll bring a branch down, and another one, and another one, and right click, paste, right click, paste, right click, paste. And that will be 30, 40, 50, and 60. I think we're ready to download this program. Now, if you need any help downloading your program or creating, or you missed the exercises or we were going through the conveyor, then hit the subscribe button because we have lessons on all of that. And I'm gonna put my safety glasses on and I'm gonna remove the part. We should always try to dry run it before we try to put a part in it. One, because we could swing a part or something. Also, parts are expensive. You know, it costs money when you mess up. So let's go ahead and do a dry run. So I'm going to turn the air on. And remember, we will see probably a little bit of movement. So be prepared when we turn the air on. That retracts. I press the green button. It comes down. Whoa, it was really fast on that part. And now we're stuck. So we have a learning opportunity. I'm going to turn the air off so we don't have to hear that. And we're going to go have a look here. Okay, and one really good thing about this method is almost anywhere in your program, you can figure out what you're stuck on. We're stuck on sequence 50. And if we go up to sequence number 50, then here we have our equals. When 50 equals 50, we're looking for the vacuum to be extended. Now let's go down and see if we did turn on the vacuum extended output. And we do not have the vacuum extended on output right now, because I put 20 and 60 in on when we needed the vacuum extended. So I've gotten off somewhere on my numbers here. Let's have a look here. Here, I didn't finish filling this out. Right here's the issue. Vacuum extended, that is supposed to be extended there. And we are still extended here, but I did not turn on the extended there. And then we have vacuum retracted. So I left out a 1 on the vacuum extended because you're going to learn this is a method. It's going to be really easy to make adjustments to our program. Let's go ahead and go offline. And vacuum extended right here is the issue. So I'm going to bring down another branch, and I do try to keep these in order. So I'm going to drag that one down. Actually, I should have copied it. Right click, copy, right click, paste. And in step number 30, I should have been extended. And we're going to have the same issue. In fact, let's go back and let's just look here. I should have been extended here, which also notice that means I need to take the retract out there. Also, this one right here, I should still be extended. So extended there means the retract goes out right there. And since now I'm extended here, it goes out there. So I needed to also additionally be step 70 going down. So we're going to add one more branch, and we will right click and paste, and this will be 70. And then, yeah, we cannot energize the extend and retract at the same time. So we need to take those out of here, the 30 and the 70. There's our 30, delete, and there's our 70, delete. Now notice when I deleted that, I only deleted the instruction. We still have a branch there. That's going to short this out and make it always on. So we also want to delete those 2 branch sections. I was just reviewing this and I just called another one as traverse extended. I did not extend it right there. And that was the other, because I was like, that isn't enough to be it. But 50 should have been extended and not retracting. So we need to take the 50 out of the retract and put it in the extend. And here is our traverse retract. We want to take the 50 out of it. And the traverse extend, we'll bring another branch. And we are going to right click, copy, right click, paste, and put a 50 in and download. Now we're going to press our green button. Cylinder goes down, pick the part up. Whoa, a little fast, but hey, I'm following, I'm tracking. I probably, if I was trying to describe this, I might need to slow that down a little bit, but that looked close. Comes down, grabs, comes up, over, down. And man, I tell you what's making this movement so smooth is these switches. Let's put a part in here and see what happens. There's my part. I'll hit my green button. Picks it up, runs over, drops it down, retracts. All right, and it's ready to go again. Look how much I'm even smiling. I bet you're smiling now that you have this done. And we had some issues. And guess what? When you get out in the field, you're going to have some issues too. That's cool. But because we planned it out and because we thought through a reasonable way to run our machine sequencing logic, do you see how easy it was for us to overcome this? Now we have a few more things to do on this. Is right now, if this gets hung up, it's not going to continue on. So we're going to need a way to get back to square one. The other thing is we need to talk about what's going to happen during a power failure in the middle of the process. So take you a break, get you a snack, and then click here where we're going to learn about that.